Good afternoon, everybody. So if you're new to NQA, just a little introduction from us. We are a certification body. We also offer training services in a number of different management systems certification areas, including aerospace, food safety, medical devices. We offer a range of training courses in a number of different formats, from e-learning and live webinars to in-house training. So the session today is food safety culture. I'll be hosting the session. An introduction to myself. I've worked in the certification industry, specialising in food safety and the food chain for actually 17 plus years now. And I am the food certification manager at NQA, looking after our accreditation and certification to food safety management system standards. And the webinar is going to be no longer than 30 minutes today. It's quite a short webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to type those into the chat box. I'll try and keep an eye on them as we go along. If it makes sense to answer it there at the time, I will do. If not, we'll answer the questions at the end. And the webinar is being recorded and will be circulated shortly after. So what do we hope you will learn today? I'm hoping that over the course of the webinar, it will give you an understanding of the concept and importance of food safety culture. I'm hoping that you'll discover how the culture of an organisation can affect food safety or product safety. And I'm hoping to give you a few tips and techniques to help you think about how you can create a healthy food safety culture within your organisation. So what is food safety culture? The GFSI definition is shared values, beliefs and norms that affect mindset and behaviour towards food safety in, across and throughout an organisation. What does good food safety culture look like? So if an organisation has a healthy food safety culture, you'd expect to see full engagement from the organisation's leadership. Leadership understand their responsibilities of food safety. Employees understand their responsibilities, and they understand how their responsibilities affect the food safety management system. Employees feel welcome and encouraged to feed back issues, no matter the consequences. Food safety issues and quality issues are identified in-house and managed, rather than waiting for them to go external. And there's a good perception from both internal and external parties. And there's a good positive brand image. So some of the consequences of poor food safety culture: non-conforming product, customer complaints, brand damaging media. You mustn't underestimate media. As soon as something goes to social media, usually it ends up being partly damaging. increase or the presence of product recalls, food fraud incidents, food defence incidents, inefficiency of processes, loss of certifications, high staff turnover, loss of knowledge and expertise within the organisation, employee lack of responsibility, and profit loss. And some of the consequences of good food safety culture: consistent efficiency, customer satisfaction, consumer satisfaction, successful certification audits, happy employees, engaged employees, less downtime, increase in sales, good brand reputation, and a successful organisation. And trust from customers. So where do we start? A good place to start is to discuss where your vulnerabilities are. Put a process in place to reduce these vulnerabilities. Communicate and engage with employees. Put training programs in place. Invite feedback from employees. Identify measuring parameters and techniques. So how are you going to measure how healthy or how good your culture within your organisation is? And review the results and act upon the results. And think about your vulnerabilities. Are they to do with food defence? Are they honest mistakes, food fraud, or just bad behaviour? So engage with employees. This needs to be initiated by leadership, needs to come from the top down. And to have better engagement, include employees in the review and implementation of the food safety culture plan. Communicate positive food safety culture. Invite feedback, good or bad. Communicate back to employees on any actions taken and include them in identifying and implementing the actions. Some things to think about. How do you gather information? How do you measure? So you could have an employee survey. You could have a working group, multidisciplinary working group. Practice what you preach. Make everybody aware that it's okay if something goes wrong. If something goes wrong, we need to learn from it to improve our processes. Learn from mistakes or near misses. And leadership invite feedback. So review feedback and communicate. So leadership should be involved in the review of results from feedback activities. When the feedback, we should identify any actions or processes that could be implemented to increase positive food safety culture. These could be team meetings, newsletters, it could be a suggestion box, it could offer rewards. Leadership should engage in all of these activities and support them. You could have a food safety culture team, and leadership or whoever is collating the information should give feedback to the business to encourage more feedback to be given. Think about your complaints and non-conformities, both internally and externally. Could existing complaints or non-conformities have been avoided if the food safety culture within the organisation had been better? And remember to consider your food safety culture when you're looking at root cause analysis, when looking at complaints and non-conformities. When your food safety team have meetings, consider food safety culture within the main agenda of that meeting. Leadership should welcome involvement or feedback from these meetings and from the activities that you put in place to measure and mitigate any food safety culture issues. Within your meeting, look at your errors or hazards. Sorry, your errors as hazards. Are your errors due to human error? Can they be avoided? And hazards and food safety culture are changeable, so it's important to review them regularly. And do you consider employee changes as a hazard? The culture of an organisation can be affected massively by the change in employees. So within your management review, food safety culture should be considered. And these are some areas where we would suggest that you consider food safety culture. So changes in internal and external issues that are relevant to the food safety management system. Monitoring and measuring results. Non-conformities and corrective actions. Review of risks and opportunities. Adequacy of resources. Emergency situations, including recalls and withdrawals. Relevant information obtained through external or internal communication, and opportunities for continual improvement. So in summary, using the Plan, Do, Check, Act formula. So plan, leadership to initiate, discussion of vulnerabilities and your threats, and create a platform to engage with employees. Invite feedback, so in your do, invite feedback and reporting of near misses and incidents. Train your employees, communicate with them what it is you're doing to try and improve the food safety culture. And then in check, so you review feedback, which would include complaints, non-conformities, incidents, staff satisfaction, and measure the effectiveness of any training that you have done in your do phase. And then act, corrective and preventative action. And then start all over again, continual cycle. So when you're being externally audited, how will food safety culture be assessed? So we will look at food safety culture under leadership, when looking at communication, training, performance measuring, employee interviews. And food safety culture has now been added to all GFSI standards. So if you're certified to FSSC, BRC, IFS, SQF, Global GAP, there are now clauses within these standards which cover food safety culture. So I hope that, the idea of the webinar is to introduce you to a concept which is continually talked about, and still some people don't fully understand what we're talking about when we're talking about food safety culture. The culture of an organisation is applicable to any organisation, and it's been proven time and time again that if the culture of an organisation is healthy, if it's good, that there are the company is capable of producing better products, having better relationships with customers and consumers, have less complaints, is a nicer place to work. Therefore, the employees take more responsibility, and they're more engaged and committed to producing better products and doing a better job. So I'm hoping that by this short introduction, I've given you some things to think about for in your own organisations. Whether you're certified to HACCP, ISO 22000, FSSC, it's worth thinking about the culture of your organisation and how the culture interchanges with your or it corresponds to any hazards that you have. If you think of a question and you want to send that over to me, please do so. I do like a question. Happy to talk to you about food safety culture or food safety management system standards. It's been really good to reach out to you all today, and thank you for attending, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you.